never believed in fate until the night I kissed death itself. His name was Dante Moretti, and in Chicago's underbelly, that name meant power, fear, and absolute control. I was nobody, just Emma Torres, a waitress juggling 2 jobs and nursing school applications. But one reckless moment, one stolen kiss in the shadows of his nightclub, and suddenly I became the obsession of the most dangerous man in America. They say he cursed love after his heart was shattered years ago, that he'd rather burn the world than feel again. I didn't know any of that when I pressed my lips to his. I just knew I wanted to feel alive. The music pounded through Inferno, the exclusive club where Chicago's elite mingled with its most notorious criminals. My friend Jess had dragged me there, insisting I needed one night to forget about textbooks and double shifts. Then I saw him across the VIP section, tall, dark-suited, with eyes like black ice that cut through the crowd directly to me. Dante Moretti. Even I knew who he was. The rumors painted him as ruthless, untouchable, a king who ruled the criminal underworld with an iron fist and a frozen heart. Something in me shifted when our eyes met. Maybe it was the champagne, maybe the suffocating weight of my ordinary life, but I felt bold. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more thrilling romance tales. When Jess disappeared to the dance floor, I found myself wandering past velvet ropes that should have stopped me. The guards parted like I belonged there, and suddenly I stood before him. His jaw was carved from stone, his expression unreadable. "You lost, little one." His voice was smooth whiskey, dark and intoxicating. I should have walked away. Instead, I leaned in, my hand finding his chest, feeling his heart pound beneath expensive fabric. "Maybe I'm exactly where I need to be," I whispered, and then I did it. I kissed him. For 3 breathless seconds, I pressed my lips to Dante Moretti's, tasting mint and danger and destiny. His hand moved to the back of my neck, possessive, before I pulled away and ran. I didn't stop until I reached my apartment, 3 miles away, my heart hammering. What had I done? Kissed a man who could end me with a phone call? When I opened my door the next morning, a black envelope sat on my doormat. Inside, a single card. "You awakened something I buried long ago. We're not finished, Emma Torres. DM." My hands shook. He knew my name. He knew where I lived. That morning at the diner passed in a haze. My phone buzzed during my break. An unknown number. "The black car outside will bring you to me tonight at 8. Don't make me come find you myself." I looked out the window and sure enough, a sleek black Mercedes idled at the curb. 8 o'clock came too fast. I stood outside in my only decent dress as the Mercedes waited. The driver opened my door, and I noticed the gun holster beneath his jacket. The drive took us to a mansion that looked like a European palace, all columns and carved stone. I found Dante in the garden beside a fountain, hands in his pockets. He'd shed his jacket, leaving him in black slacks and a white shirt with sleeves rolled up. He turned, and the intensity in his gaze nearly made me stumble. "You came," he said. "You didn't give me much choice," I replied. "Did I threaten you, Emma? Did I promise harm if you refused?" He moved closer, predatory. "Then you came because you wanted to, because that kiss haunted you the same way it haunted me." He stood so close I could smell his cologne, dark and cedar-rich. "Do you know what you've done?" His voice dropped. I hadn't felt anything in 6 years. Nothing. I'd convinced myself I was better off dead inside. Then you, this brave, foolish girl, you walked up to me like I was just a man and not a monster, and you kissed me like I deserved tenderness. Now I can't stop thinking about you. You've become my obsession, Emma Torres. I should have run, but instead I asked, "Why did you curse love?" Pain flickered across his features. "Because love destroyed me once. 6 years ago, I was engaged. Isabella, I believed she loved me. I was wrong. She was working with the FBI. When I discovered the truth, she'd already testified. My father went to prison because of her. He died there 6 months later." The raw pain in his voice made my chest tighten. I'd expected a monster, but this man was broken in ways I recognized. My own father had abandoned us when I was 12. I'd built walls, too. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "Don't be sorry," Dante said. "Be warned. I'm not a good man, Emma. My world is brutal. People die for disappointing me. But ever since that kiss, I can't pretend you don't exist, and I won't let you go. That's not your choice to make," I said. "I'm not some possession." He smiled, a real smile that transformed his face. "There's that fire. That's what caught me. Stay with me tonight. Not in my bed, Just stay. Let me know you're real. In the morning, if you want to leave, I'll let you go. I swear it. I knew it was a lie. Men like Dante Moretti didn't just let things go. But I said yes anyway. I stayed that night in a guest room bigger than my entire apartment. I barely slept, too aware of him somewhere in this house. Morning found him in the kitchen making espresso in a t-shirt and sweatpants. "You're still here," he said, relief clear in his voice. "Just today," I said. "Let me show you my world, Emma. The parts that aren't soaked in blood." "Guy." So I said yes again, and Dante took me on a tour of Chicago I'd never seen. We went to the Art Institute, and I discovered he knew more about art than I ever would. "My mother loved painters," he explained before a Monet. "She wanted to be an artist before she married into the family. This was her favorite." Lunch was at a small Italian restaurant where the owner greeted Dante with genuine warmth, not fear. Antonio knew my grandfather. "This place is neutral ground. No business, just good food," Dante explained. The afternoon brought us to a youth center in a neighborhood I recognized. "I fund this place," Dante said quietly, anonymously. "Most of these boys, their fathers are in my organization, or locked up because of it. I can't undo the damage, but I can give them somewhere safe." A young boy ran over, grinning. "Mr. D, you came." He launched himself at Dante, who caught him easily, laughing. I watched this fearsome Mafia boss talk basketball with a child, and something inside me cracked open. This was the real Dante Moretti, a man trying to balance darkness with goodness. As we drove back, sunset coloring Lake Michigan, I realized I'd made a decision. I wasn't leaving. "Emma," Dante said as we pulled in, "my enemies will see you as leverage. Being with me puts a target on your back. If you stay, you need to know what you're accepting." I turned to face him. "Are you trying to scare me away?" "I'm trying to be honest. The thought of you getting hurt would destroy what's left of my soul." I cupped his face. "Then we'll be careful. And Dante, I need honesty too. No lies to protect me. If we're doing this, we're equals. Partners." He smiled. "Partners. I like that." Then he kissed me. Really kissed me. Not the stolen moment, but a deliberate claiming. When we broke apart, he whispered, "Stay. Let me show you what it means to be loved by a man who thought he'd forgotten how." Moving into Dante's world happened fast. Within a week, my belongings were transported to his mansion, and I'd been introduced to his inner circle as someone important, which in Mafia speak meant untouchable. His right-hand man, Luca, watched me with suspicion. Tall and scarred, he made his opinion clear. "You're a liability. Dante's enemies will use you against him." "Then help me not be a liability," I shot back. "Teach me what I need to know." Luca's expression shifted to respect. "You're not what I expected. Most civilians run screaming or get seduced by the lifestyle. You're different." Over the following weeks, Luca became my ally, teaching me the rules, who to trust, what signals meant danger, how to read a room for threats. Nursing school became my refuge, the one place where I was still just Emma. Dante insisted on security following me everywhere, and I'd stopped arguing after he showed me photos of 3 women connected to rivals who'd been kidnapped. But at night, when he held me, that world seemed distant. We'd talk for hours, my dreams of becoming a nurse practitioner, his hopes of legitimizing his business, movies we loved, foods we hated. He taught me Italian, laughing when I butchered pronunciation. I taught him to cook, surprised he genuinely enjoyed it. We were building something real. Then came the night that shattered our peace. I was studying when his phone rang. The way his expression shifted, from relaxed to lethal, made ice form in my veins. "When?" he demanded. "How many?" I followed him to his study where Luca waited with 3 other men, all armed. "What happened?" I asked. Dante turned, and for the first time, I saw Il Diavolo instead of my love. The Zanetti family hit one of our warehouses. 12 million in merchandise and 4 of my men dead. They knew exactly when and where to strike. "We have a traitor." The room erupted in Italian. "I'm coming with you," I said. "Emma? No. This is going to get ugly. Then I should see it. See all of who you are, not just the parts you show me at home." Luca spoke. "She's right. If she's staying in this life, better she understands it now." Dante looked at me, some internal war playing out. Then he nodded. "Fine, but you stay with me at all times." The warehouse smelled like smoke and blood. The bodies had been removed, but evidence of violence remained. Bullet holes, overturned crates, dark stains on concrete. They wanted to send a message, Luca said. They're declaring war. Dante's jaw clenched. Then we respond. Find who leaked the schedule. I want names by morning. For 3 hours, I watched the man I loved transform into something terrifying. He interrogated his own men with cold efficiency until the truth emerged. A junior member had gambling debts the Zanettis exploited. The young man, barely 20, stood before Dante, tears streaming, begging forgiveness. 4 men died because of your weakness, Dante said. What should I do with you, Marco? Kill me, the boy whispered. I deserve it. For a moment I thought Dante would. Then he surprised everyone. No, you'll live with what you've done, but you're done in my organization. You have 24 hours to leave Chicago. If I ever see you again, if you ever speak about this family, then I'll grant your wish. Luca, escort him out. One of Dante's captains protested. Boss, that's too soft. Makes us look weak. Dante turned to him, and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. I decide what makes us look weak. That boy's conscience will torture him more than anything I could do. We save death for traitors, not fools. Anyone else want to question my judgment? No one spoke. We drove home in silence. Back at the mansion, he poured scotch with shaking hands. Now you've seen it. I understand if you want to leave. I wrapped my arms around him from behind. You showed mercy tonight when you didn't have to. You chose rehabilitation over revenge. That's not a monster, Dante. He turned, and I saw tears on his face. 4 men died because of my business. Their blood is on my hands, and the boy you spared will live with his guilt, but also his life. You can't undo the violence, but you can choose how you respond going forward. He kissed me, desperate and deep, as if I was his anchor. Later, tangled together in bed, he whispered, I love you, Emma Torres. I didn't think I'd ever say those words again, but they're yours. I love you too, I whispered back. All of you, even the dark parts. Love didn't make the danger disappear. It just made it more terrifying. The Zanetti attack was only the opening move in a war that escalated daily. Dante threw himself into strategic planning, fortifying operations, relocating vulnerable assets. I watched him carry the weight of hundreds of lives, aging years in weeks. Meanwhile, I fought my own battles. Nursing school demanded attention I struggled to give when I spent nights wondering if Dante would come home alive. The breaking point came during a family dinner, a weekly tradition with his organization's leadership. Dante's uncle Lorenzo, a capo from the old guard, decided to challenge our relationship publicly. Dante, we need to discuss this girl, Lorenzo said, gesturing at me. She's a distraction. You've gone soft. The Zanettis are gaining ground because you're playing house. The room went silent. I spoke before Dante could. With all due respect, sir, that's not accurate. Dante ended the Zanetti supply chain last week, reclaimed the territory they took, and did it with half the casualties a full-scale war would have cost. If that's soft, I'd hate to see him trying. Lorenzo's face reddened. You think you understand our world, little girl? You're a civilian playing dress-up. The moment things get dangerous, you'll run, and Dante will be vulnerable. My mother was a nurse, I said evenly. She worked ER, saw gunshot wounds and stabbings every shift. She taught me that strength isn't never feeling fear. It's functioning despite it. I've seen your world's violence firsthand. I choose to stay anyway. Not because I'm naive, but because I love Dante enough to stand beside him through whatever comes. Something shifted in Lorenzo's expression. Surprise, then grudging respect. Emma is my partner, Dante said, authority silencing dissent. She stays. Anyone with a problem can take it up with me privately. The dinner continued, but the dynamic had changed. Later, Luca pulled me aside. That was risky. Lorenzo doesn't forgive public challenges. Then maybe he shouldn't make them, I replied. I respect your traditions, but I won't be disrespected in my own home. Luca laughed. You've got steel, Emma. I see why he loves you. Lorenzo's retaliation came a week later. I was leaving campus after a late study session when my security team was nowhere to be found. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your guards are indisposed. Car approaching from the east. Run. My nursing training kept panic at bay while I assessed options. The campus was mostly empty at 11 p.m. I ran west toward the main quad, dialing Dante. Emma? What's wrong? My security's gone. Unknown car pursuing. I'm on campus heading toward the admin building. Lock yourself somewhere safe. I'm 10 minutes out. Luca's closer. Behind me, car doors slammed. I saw 3 men exiting the sedan, all wearing expressions that promised nothing good. The library, open 24 hours, always staffed, security cameras everywhere. I burst through the doors into blessed fluorescent light. Call campus security, I gasped to the desk attendant. Men following me, not students, armed. She hit a silent alarm. The 3 men appeared in the doorway, one pulling a gun before realizing the dozen witnesses recording everything on phones. They backed out just as campus security arrived, followed by Luca and 4 of Dante's men. Are you hurt? Luca demanded. I'm fine. Just scared. What happened to my security? Found them locked in a utility closet, drugged but alive. This was professional. Someone inside gave up their locations. Dante arrived in a screech of tires, crushing me against him. Thank God. Emma, when you called, I'm okay because of the warning text. Who sent it? Dante and Luca exchanged glances. We're working on it, but whoever they are, they're in the Zanetti organization and willing to help us. The drive home was tense. Dante's jaw clenched tight. Back at the mansion, he exploded. That's it. You're not going back to school. It's too dangerous. Yes, I am, I said firmly. I have finals in 2 weeks. I'm not letting them derail my education. Your education won't matter if you're dead. We faced each other, both breathing hard, both terrified. Finally, I softened. Dante, I understand you're scared. I'm scared too. But if I stop living my life, they win. I become just an extension of you instead of my own person. Is that what you want? He closed his eyes. I want you safe. Then make me safer. But don't make me a prisoner. Double the security. Add trackers to everything I own. Teach me self-defense. But let me finish this semester. Please. He pulled me close, trembling. You're going to be the death of me, woman. Or your salvation. We'll see which comes first. The investigation revealed both good and bad news. Good. It wasn't the Zanettis, but Lorenzo, trying to prove I was a liability by creating danger himself. Bad. Betrayal from family. Dante called a meeting of all the families, a formal sit-down for the gravest offenses. I sat beside him at the head of the table, wearing armor in the form of a designer dress and diamonds, my presence itself a statement. Lorenzo walked in, expecting to defend his position on strategy. Instead, he faced evidence of his attempted kidnapping plot, surveillance footage, bank records, testimony from the men themselves. You endangered Emma to prove a point, Dante said, emotionless. You compromised our security, bribed our men, and violated the most sacred rule. Family protects family. You made her family when you broke bread at our table, then tried to harm her. I should kill you for this. The other capos nodded, some satisfied at Lorenzo's downfall. However, Emma has asked me to show mercy, Dante continued. She believes people deserve chances to change. So I'm offering you a choice, uncle. Retire. Completely. Take your money, your properties, and leave Chicago. Live out your days in peace, or refuse and face the consequences. Lorenzo looked at me, and I met his gaze steadily. After a long moment, he nodded. I accept. Retirement. Wise choice. You have 1 week. As the room cleared, Luca remained. That was mercy he didn't deserve. Maybe, Dante acknowledged. But Emma's right that killing family breeds paranoia. Lorenzo's exile sends the message that I value loyalty, but I'm not a mindless monster. It's a new way forward. A better way, I added. If we're building something lasting, it has to be on more than fear. That night, Dante told me something he'd kept secret. The person who warned you was Lorenzo's daughter, Gianna. She couldn't stop her father, but she could give you a chance to run. She's been feeding us information since then. She wants out of this life, wants to go to college, be normal. I'm going to help her, set her up with a new identity, because that's what we do now. We give people chances to be better. I kissed him, proud and in love. We're building something new, a family based on choice and loyalty, not just blood and fear. With you leading the way, Dante murmured. My conscience, my heart, my everything. Winter came to Chicago with its usual brutality. Dante's new approach was working, but it made enemies among the old guard. The Zanettis pressed their advantage. I spent my days balancing finals with helping Dante strategize. They're targeting businesses near university campuses, I noted one night, studying a map. All within 2 blocks of schools. Why? Dante studied the map, then looked at me with respect. Because those areas have more police presence. They're forcing us to either abandon territory or risk exposure. That's brilliant, Emma. We missed the larger pattern. So what do? We use their strategy against them. We pull back temporarily, make them think it worked. Then we hit where they think they're safe. Their legitimate businesses, the fronts they use to launder money. We expose them to the IRS, trigger audits, freeze their cash flow. We fight smart, not just hard. Over the next month, Dante's plan unfolded with devastating effectiveness. The Zanettis found themselves under investigation by multiple federal agencies, assets frozen, operations in chaos. By February, they were suing for peace, offering concessions to end the war. The meeting was held on neutral ground, a hotel conference room that felt absurdly corporate. Dante brought me, insisting, "You're part of this victory. You should see it concluded." Marco Zanetti, the family patriarch, was old-school Mafia. His son David sat beside him, clearly wanting to continue fighting. "You've become unpredictable, Moretti," Marco said. "The old rules don't apply anymore." "Because I'm writing new ones," Dante replied calmly. "This war cost both our families men and money. For what? Pride? I'm offering you peace with dignity. And if we refuse," David challenged, "then I keep fighting, but not the way you expect. I'll bankrupt you through legal channels, turn your allies through better offers, wait you out while you bleed resources. Or accept peace now, keep your territory intact, and we move forward with a non-aggression pact." The Zanettis conferred in rapid Italian. Finally, Marco extended his hand. Peace, with terms. The negotiation took hours. Territory divisions, neutral zones, protocols for disputes. When papers were finally signed, Marco looked at me directly. "You've changed him. Made him smarter, more strategic." "He changed himself," I replied. "I just showed him there were options besides violence." Marco laughed. "Marry this one, Moretti. She's got sense and spine, rare combination." The drive home felt lighter than it had in months. "It's really over?" I asked. "The war is," Dante confirmed. "There will always be challenges. But this storm has passed." That night, he took me back to where it started, Inferno, his nightclub. But instead of the crowded chaos, we were alone. The entire place closed for us. Music played softly as he led me to the dance floor. "I've been thinking about what Marco said," Dante murmured as we swayed together. "About marrying you. Emma Torres, you walked into my life when I was more dead than alive. You kissed me back to feeling, challenged me to be better, stood beside me through warfare and betrayal. You're the strongest person I know, and I don't want to spend another day without you as my wife." He revealed a ring box, opening it to show a diamond that caught the club lights like captured stars. "Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of the faith you had in me?" Tears blurred my vision as I nodded. "Yes," I finally managed. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Planning a Mafia wedding was vastly different from planning a normal wedding. Security considerations dominated every decision. Venues had to be defensible. Guest lists vetted for threats. Every vendor background checked. But Dante indulged my desire for beauty among the precautions. The ceremony would be held at his mansion in late April, when the gardens would be in full bloom. My mother flew in from Arizona. Her reaction to Dante was complicated, maternal concern warring with recognition that I was genuinely happy. "He's dangerous, mija," she said during a dress fitting. "I know, Mama," I replied, studying my reflection in lace and silk. "But he's also good, in ways people don't see. He's building something better." She sighed. "You have your father's stubborn heart. Once you love completely. I just hope this man deserves that gift." "He does," I said with certainty. I finished my semester with straight A's, managing to balance exams with wedding planning. The wedding day arrived with perfect spring weather. Sunny but cool, flowers blooming across every surface. I dressed surrounded by women who'd become family. Gianna, my mother, Rosa from the diner. "You look like a queen," Rosa said, tears streaming. The ceremony was held in the garden under an arch of roses, white and red twisted together. Over 200 guests filled the chairs. a mix of family members and legitimate business contacts Dante had cultivated. As I walked down the aisle, I saw him waiting, breathtaking in a custom black tuxedo, his eyes locked on me with an intensity that made my breath catch. This was the man they called Il Diavolo, but looking at him now, I saw only Dante, my partner, my love, my future. Father Marco performed the ceremony. When it was his turn, Dante took my hands. Emma, 6 months ago I was a man without a soul, going through motions in a life that felt like death. Then you kissed me, and suddenly I remembered what it meant to feel, to hope, to want to be better. You didn't try to change me or save me. You loved me exactly as I was and challenged me to love myself the same way. I vowed to protect you, to honor your strength, to be your partner in building the life we both deserve. I vow to choose mercy when I can, and justice when I must. I vow to make you proud every single day. Tears streamed down my face as I spoke my vows. Dante, you taught me that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing someone completely, darkness and light together. You showed me strength comes in many forms, that powerful men can be gentle, that damage doesn't define us. I vow to stand beside you through whatever comes, to be your conscience when you need it and your comfort always. I vow to build this new world with you, one choice at a time. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife, Father Marco declared. You may kiss your bride. Dante pulled me close, kissing me with a tenderness that made the assembled crowd disappear. When we broke apart, he whispered, Mrs. Moretti, mine forever. Forever, I agreed. The reception was elegant chaos, music and dancing, toasts that made us laugh and cry, food that tasted like heaven. Luca's toast was particularly memorable. To Dante and Emma, she walked into our world fearlessly and reminded us all that we're more than the violence that surrounds us. She made our boss human again, and for that, we're eternally grateful. To the bride and groom. As the night wore on, Dante and I found ourselves alone on the balcony, watching stars appear over Lake Michigan. Happy? He asked, arms around me from behind. Blissfully, I replied. We did it, Dante. We built something beautiful out of chaos. We did, he agreed. And now we keep building. I met with a federal prosecutor last week, Emma. Started discussions about full immunity in exchange for testimony against the Zanetti's drug operations. If it works out, I could be completely legitimate within 2 years. I turned to face him, shocked. Dante, that's incredible. And dangerous. Are you sure? I'm sure that I want our children to inherit a business empire, not a criminal organization, he said, cupping my face. I want to be someone they can be proud of publicly, not just someone they learn to make excuses for. You've shown me there's another way. Now, I'm choosing it. Joy and love overwhelmed me. Our children, I whispered. You're thinking about that? Every day since you said yes, he admitted. A little girl with your fire and compassion. A boy with my stubbornness and your intelligence. A family built on love instead of obligation. That's the future I want, Emma. With you, I actually believe it's possible. We kissed under the stars. 2 people who'd found each other against impossible odds, building a future that defied everything our world said was possible. The next morning, we left for our honeymoon. 2 weeks in Italy, visiting the villages where Dante's grandparents had been born. Away from Chicago, from business and danger, we were just newlyweds falling deeper in love. In a small Tuscan vineyard, drinking wine and watching sunset paint the hills gold, Dante made me a promise. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that kiss you gave me that night wasn't a mistake, that the faith you had in me was justified, that love really can transform even the most broken souls. You already have, I said softly. Every day you choose mercy over violence. Every life you spare. Every person you give a second chance. You prove it. I'm so proud of you, Dante. So proud to be your wife. We returned to Chicago changed, ready to face whatever came next as partners in every sense. Dante moved forward with his immunity negotiations, dismantling the criminal empire piece by piece while building legitimate businesses to replace it. I started my clinical rotations, one step closer to my nursing license. And together, we built a family, not just the children we'd someday have, but a chosen family of people seeking redemption and second chances. 2 years passed like a dream, and a battle combined. Dante's immunity deal went through, though not without cost. Months of testimony, threats from those who saw him as a traitor to the old ways, security so tight we barely breathed without permission. But he persevered, and slowly, methodically, the Moretti empire transformed from criminal organization to legitimate business conglomerate, real estate development, restaurants, the youth center that expanded to 5 locations across Chicago. I graduated with my nursing license and took a position at a community health clinic, serving the same neighborhoods where Dante's men once operated. We were giving back, rebuilding what crime had damaged. Our first child came on a snowy December morning, Isabella Marie Moretti, named for the mother Dante had lost and the woman who'd taught me strength. Holding her in the hospital, Dante cried openly. "She's perfect," he whispered. "So small and innocent. I swear on my life, Emma, she'll grow up in a world of light, not shadows. She'll grow up knowing her father was brave enough to change," I said. "That's the greatest gift you could give her." Isabella was barely 6 months old when the final threat emerged. A capo from the old organization, bitter about Dante's transformation, decided to make a move. He didn't want money or territory. He wanted revenge for what he saw as betrayal. The threat came through Luca, who'd remained Dante's closest ally through the transition. "Giovanni's planning something. We have intelligence he's hired outside muscle. You and Emma need to disappear for a few days while we handle it." "No more running," Dante said firmly. "No more hiding. We end this now, but we do it the new way." The new way meant calling the FBI, presenting evidence of Giovanni's planned attack, and letting federal law handle what Dante once would have resolved with violence. It meant trusting a system he'd spent his life working against. Giovanni was arrested before he could act, charged with conspiracy and racketeering. The old Dante would have had him killed in prison. The new Dante simply moved on, focusing on building rather than destroying. "It feels anticlimactic," he admitted the night after Giovanni's arrest. "Part of me wanted the confrontation, the violence. That darkness doesn't just disappear. But you chose differently," I reminded him. "You chose law over revenge, trust over control. That's not weakness, Dante. That's evolution." He pulled me close. "I couldn't have done any of this without you. You're my compass, Emma. My true north." By Isabella's 2nd birthday, Dante was completely out of the criminal world. His testimony had helped dismantle 3 major organizations, and his immunity was absolute. We bought a house outside the city, still secure but more home than fortress, with a yard where Isabella could play and a nursery we were preparing for baby number 2. One spring evening, we found ourselves back at Inferno, now a completely legitimate nightclub that Dante had kept as a reminder of where we'd started. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked, as we stood near the spot where I'd first kissed him. "The life you left behind? The power you gave up?" Dante considered, then shook his head. "I regret the years I wasted being half dead. I regret the men who died for my pride and my father's vengeance. But leaving that world, choosing you, choosing this life, best decision I ever made. Even though you're just a businessman now," I teased. "Not the feared Il Diavolo. Il Diavolo died the night you kissed him," Dante said seriously. "What rose from those ashes is something better. A man who knows love is stronger than fear, mercy more powerful than violence. A man who's building a legacy his children can be proud of." He kissed me then, soft and sweet, and I marveled at the journey we'd taken. From that reckless kiss to this moment, we'd defied expectations, transformed lives, proven that redemption wasn't just possible but worth fighting for. Isabella would grow up with a father who'd made mistakes but had the courage to change. Our second child, a boy we'd name Antonio after the restaurant owner who'd shown Dante what neutral ground meant, would know a world of possibility, not limitation. Years later, when journalists wrote about Dante Moretti's transformation from Mafia boss to philanthropist, they'd call it remarkable, unprecedented. But I knew the truth. It wasn't unprecedented. It was what happened when someone believed in you enough to love you completely, when you found the courage to choose light over darkness, when you dared to kiss the devil and discovered he had a soul worth saving all along. We built our kingdom not on fear, but on love. Not on taking, but on giving. Not on who we'd been, but on who we chose to become. And every night, as I held my husband close and listened to our children breathing in their rooms, I whispered thanks for that reckless moment. That stolen kiss, that spark of courage that changed everything. 5 years after our wedding, Chicago barely recognized the name Dante Moretti, except in business sections and charity galas. The youth center program had expanded to 12 cities, funded by the Moretti Foundation. Our community health clinic network served 50,000 patients annually. Dante spoke at universities about redemption and second chances, his story inspiring others to believe change was possible. We had 3 children now, Isabella, Antonio, and little Sophia, barely a year old. Our home was chaos and love, laughter and tears, everything I dreamed of during those lonely years waitressing and wondering if life held more than survival. Dante had become the father he'd promised to be, present, patient, teaching our children that strength meant kindness, that power meant responsibility. But the past never stays buried forever. The call came on a Tuesday morning while I was at the clinic. Luca, urgent and tense. Emma, turn on the news, Channel 5. I grabbed my phone, pulling up the live stream, and felt my blood run cold. Isabella, not our daughter, but Isabella Romano, Dante's ex-fiancée who'd betrayed him to the FBI, was holding a press conference. I'm releasing a book detailing my years undercover in the Moretti organization, she said into a forest of microphones, including revelations about Dante Moretti's criminal activities that weren't covered by his immunity deal. My hand shook. Dante's immunity was ironclad, negotiated by the best lawyers and backed by federal testimony. But public opinion was different. If she released information that made him look worse, painted him as unrepentant, it could destroy everything we'd built. I called Dante immediately. I saw it, he said, his voice calm in a way that meant he was barely holding it together. I've already got our lawyers on it. Emma, she can't actually hurt me legally, but the foundation, the businesses, if donors pull out because of bad press, we fight, I said firmly. We tell our story, show what you've become, prove that redemption is real. That evening, we held a family meeting. Luca joined us, along with Gianna, who'd graduated from Cornell and now ran the Moretti Foundation's scholarship program. Isabella's angry that you got out and succeeded, Gianna said, analyzing the situation with her usual clarity. She expected you to fail, to prove she'd been right to betray you. Your success is her failure. This is about ego. Then we take away her ammunition, Dante decided. We tell our story first. Emma, I want to do a joint interview. Show them who we really are. The interview was scheduled for the following week, with a respected journalist known for fair coverage. In our living room, with our children's artwork visible on the walls and family photos everywhere, we told our story. I described that first kiss, the man I'd met beneath the legend, the journey we'd taken together. Dante spoke openly about his criminal past, not hiding or making excuses, but explaining the context and the choices. I was raised in a world where violence was normal, where mercy was weakness, he said. My father went to prison because of the woman I loved, and I responded by becoming harder, colder. I built walls so high nothing could reach me. Then Emma kissed me, and those walls started crumbling. She showed me there was another way. Was it difficult to leave that life? The journalist asked. Terrifying, Dante admitted. Everything I knew, everything I'd been taught about strength and power, I had to unlearn it. I had to trust a system I'd spent my life opposing. But I did it because I wanted my children to have a different legacy. I shared my perspective. People ask if I was ever afraid of Dante, if I felt I was in danger. The truth is, I saw the danger he was in, from his enemies, from his past, from himself. I saw a man drowning in darkness who desperately wanted light but didn't know how to reach it. So I became that light. Not to save him, he saved himself, but to remind him that redemption was possible. The journalist was silent for a moment, then asked, What would you say to Isabella Romano? Dante looked directly at the camera. I forgive you, for the betrayal, for my father's death, for this book. I understand you did what you thought was right, and I hope you find peace. But I also want you to know that your actions didn't destroy me. They freed me, because losing you led me to Emma, and building a new life from the ruins you left behind taught me who I actually wanted to be. So thank you, and goodbye. The interview aired 2 days before Isabella's book release. The response was overwhelming. Messages of support flooded our foundation, donors doubled down on commitments, and several major news outlets ran follow-up stories about successful rehabilitation programs and second chances. Isabella's book, when it released, sold poorly. The revelations she'd promised were either already public knowledge from Dante's testimony or seemed petty compared to the transformation story already in the public consciousness. She'd expected to destroy us, but instead had given us a platform to inspire others. 3 months later, I was surprised to receive a letter. The return address was Virginia, and the handwriting was feminine. Inside, a single page. Emma, you gave him what I never could. Unconditional belief in his capacity for good. I was wrong to try to destroy that. You won, and you deserve your happiness. I showed it to Dante that night. He read it once, then folded it carefully. She's letting go. That's good. I hope she finds someone who makes her as happy as you make me. Always bringing it back to us. I teased, but my eyes were wet. Always, he confirmed, pulling me close. You and our children, this life we've built, that's my purpose now. Everything else is just noise. That summer, we took our family to Italy, retracing the honeymoon trip but with 3 children in tow. In that same Tuscan vineyard where Dante had promised to prove my faith in him was justified, we renewed our vows surrounded by our babies and the friends who'd become family. I, Dante Alessandro Moretti, confirm what I promised 7 years ago, he said, holding my hands while Isabella tried to eat her flower crown and the boys chased fireflies. To love you completely, to be worthy of your faith, to build a legacy of light instead of darkness. You are my redemption, Emma. My always. I, Emma Sophia Moretti, confirm my promise too, I said through happy tears. To stand beside you through whatever comes. To love all of you. To build our kingdom of kindness together. You are my heart, Dante. My everything. As the sun set over the Tuscan hills, our children playing at our feet and friends celebrating around us, I thought about that girl who'd walked into Inferno seeking one night of feeling alive. She'd found so much more. A love that transformed. A purpose that mattered. A family that chose each other every day. Dante had been right that first night. I'd awakened something he'd buried, but he'd awakened something in me too. Courage to believe in impossible things. Strength to stand in the darkness without being consumed. Faith that love really could change the world. One kiss at a time. 10 years after that first kiss, I stood in the ballroom of a downtown Chicago hotel, watching Dante give a keynote speech to a conference on criminal justice reform. Our oldest, Isabella, now 12 and frighteningly intelligent, sat beside me, listening intently as her father spoke. Rehabilitation works when we actually commit to it, Dante was saying. When we see people as more than their worst moments, when we invest in their potential instead of just punishing their past. I know this because I lived it. Without the support system that helped me transition out of criminal life, I'd probably be dead or in prison. Instead, I'm here, running businesses that employ hundreds, funding programs that serve thousands, raising children who will never know the violence that defined my youth. That's not a miracle. That's what's possible when we choose redemption over retribution. The applause was thunderous. Isabella leaned over to whisper, "Dad's really good at this, isn't he?" "He is," I agreed, squeezing her hand. "He believes every word because he lived it." After the speech, we met Dante backstage. Antonio and Sophia rushed to him, and he scooped them both up despite Sophia being nearly too big for it at 7 years old. "You were amazing," I said, kissing him. "The mayor wants to meet with us next week about expanding the youth centers into public schools," he said, eyes bright with excitement. "Emma, we could reach thousands more kids, give them alternatives before they ever enter the life I had to escape. Then we'll make it happen," I promised. That night, after the children were asleep, Dante and I sat on our back porch, watching stars emerge over the Chicago skyline in the distance. "Do you ever miss it?" I asked quietly. "The adrenaline, the power, the fear people had?" He was silent for a long moment. "Sometimes I miss the simplicity of it. Everything was clear, loyalty or betrayal, strength or weakness. But then I remember what that simplicity cost. The men who died, the families destroyed, the version of myself who was more monster than man. No, I don't miss it. Not when I have this." He gestured to our home, where our children slept safely. "This is the real power, Emma. Building instead of destroying. Creating a legacy that helps instead of harms. You taught me that. We taught each other," I corrected. You showed me that loving someone doesn't mean accepting less than I deserve. That partnership means challenging each other to be better. The following month brought unexpected news. The FBI contacted Dante about consulting on a task force designed to help Mafia members transition to legitimate life. They want me to create a roadmap, he explained, showing me the formal request. Based on my experience, develop a program that could help others leave organized crime. Emma, this could change everything. If we can show that rehabilitation really works, that people aren't defined by their past, then you'll have done what you set out to do. I finished. Transformed your darkest chapter into light for others. He accepted the position, and for the next year, worked tirelessly developing what became known as the Phoenix Program. It offered legal protection, job training, therapy, financial support, and community integration for those willing to leave criminal organizations. The program's success rate was remarkable. 70% of participants remained crime-free after 5 years. Dante's work brought him national recognition. Speaking invitations poured in. Universities offered visiting professorships. Documentary filmmakers wanted to tell our story. But through it all, he remained grounded, focused on family and the mission rather than fame. Remember when you asked if I'd regret giving up being Il Diavolo? He said one anniversary evening as we danced in our living room. No music playing, just swaying together in comfortable silence. I have my answer now. That man, he was powerful, yes, feared, but he was empty. This man, the one who comes home to you and our children, who helps others find redemption, who builds instead of destroys, this man is truly powerful, because love is the greatest power of all. You've become quite the philosopher, I teased, but my voice was thick with emotion. I've had an excellent teacher, he murmured, kissing my forehead. Thank you, Emma, for that kiss that started everything, for every choice you've made since then to stand beside me, for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself, for our children, our life, our purpose. Thank you for being brave enough to kiss the devil and patient enough to help him find his soul. Thank you for being brave enough to change, I whispered back, for choosing us over everything you knew, for proving that people can transform, that love really does conquer darkness. I'd kiss you 1,000 times over, Dante Moretti, every single time. We kissed then, soft and deep and full of 10 years of love, struggle, triumph, and unwavering commitment. Outside, Chicago lived its complicated life. Crime and beauty, danger and hope, darkness and light all mixed together. But inside our home, we'd created something pure, a family built on choice, a legacy of redemption, a love story that proved impossible things could become real. Our children would grow up knowing their father's past, understanding the journey he'd taken, learning that mistakes don't define us, but our responses to them do. They'd carry forward the work we'd started, building on the foundation of love and second chances. Years from now, when people told the story of Dante Moretti, they wouldn't remember Il Diavolo, the feared mafia boss. They'd remember the man who'd had the courage to change, the woman who'd believed in him, and the empire of kindness they'd built together. Because in the end, that's what mattered. Not where we'd started, but where we chose to go. Not who we'd been, but who we became together. And it all started with a kiss, reckless and brave and destined, that awakened something neither of us knew we needed until that moment. Love. Real, transformative, revolutionary love. The kind that doesn't just change lives but redeems them. The kind worth fighting for, worth building on, worth believing in against all odds. That was our story. That was our truth. And I'd live it all over again, exactly the same way, just for one more chance to walk into that club, find that broken man with ice in his eyes, and kiss him like he deserved tenderness. Because he did. Because everyone does. Because love, ultimately, is what saves us all. Thank you so much for reading our story. If you enjoyed this journey of love, redemption, and transformation, please hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible romance tales, and drop a comment below, telling me which moment touched your heart the most. Your support means everything and helps me create more stories like this. Until next time, remember, love can transform even the darkest souls. See you in the next story.